Hey there. This is about the power of a concerted or joint or all together effort. And what this will do for you is hopefully help you choose wisely about who you associate or refuse to associate yourself with, at least in terms of when building your own professional practice. And to get there, I hope you listen to a little story I have. Cool? Okay. When I was a freshly minted medical doctor, I was checking out everything there was related to metabolism, because that was a special interest of mine. Still is. And so I came across this company, and the way they advertised themselves is they were a health company and they were looking for consultants. So okay, that's me, health professional and consultancy. That's something I had some idea about and could fancy myself figuring out what it was that I had to do to fill in that position or to work with whatever this company was. And so I looked them up, and turns out I ended up at what they called a business opportunity meeting. And what it actually is, well, they're pitching you products. They're pitching you a multi-level marketing system. And part of this business opportunity meeting included training for sales and included some very smart rebuttals. And I remember one particular one, as I was going through the material and listening to massive overhyping and people shouting in chorus like madmen. There was a question in a manual that they produced, okay, and the question was, and this is in the context of a person being a part of their group, their organization, their international company, and the question kind of goes, my doctor disagrees. Let's just make this up, okay? My doctor says, and then let's just say it's something counter to the advice that they give their clients, because, well, there are fiber supplements and there are meal replacement shakes, okay? And the question goes, what if a doctor says, okay, let's just invent. That's actually how to do things is this way, and actually that might be dangerous, or actually that might work better if it were this other way, or why not just consider a more balanced diet, or let's just make something up, okay? But the basic premise was, what if a doctor says this? How do I respond? And their pre-prepared response was, that's okay. That's your doctor's opinion. That's brilliant. You see, because it managed to reduce the opinion of a medical doctor to the opinion of just one person. Here's how they did it. What if a doctor says, and then you explain to your prospect who has had something explained to them by a medical doctor that might be contrary to what you as the senior sales dude advised your incoming junior in this international company for health products, okay? What if the doctor says this? And the answer is, that's okay. That's his opinion. You see, that's brilliant, because that manages to reduce medical opinion, educated medical opinion, it manages to reduce the knowledge of the entire medical community to just the opinion of one lowly, stupid man. That's brilliant. It manages to reduce all the study and training that a doctor has in bringing forth advice to, oh, that's what one person said, like a rumor, like a, like opinion, just opinion. Okay, well, that's not true. You see, any doctor who's worth his salt and knows and lives and breathes medicine as science, a passion, and art, a craft, will speak from all he knows of what is true. And he taps into the medical database, everything he studied, everything he understands, everything he's updated himself to understanding. And he weighs the situation and who's in front of him and everything pertinent about that person, and given the vast array of his experience and practice, brings out an answer that he hopes is useful. Because one of the functions actually of your physician, of your medical doctor, is to educate. One of the first and foremost duties of your doctor is actually to be a teacher, to be a coach, to be a mentor. And that may have been forgotten, but from how we were built to pass on understanding or to draw out understanding in our patients so they get how things work and so they can manage themselves. So this brilliant little piece of literature in a manual they produced, this international company, manages to belittle and to flatten into nothingness medical advice as medical opinion, as medical opinion of just one person, as opinion, as personal opinion of just one petty little man or woman. Like I said, that's brilliant. That's a powerful way to frame things. But it's not true. And so this takes me to my point. When you're listening to opinion, when you're choosing a profession and many other things, it helps to know, well, who's got your back? Let's take this example into if you're planning a new profession. You see, when you plan a new profession, there are those who have come before you and they've gone through a lot and have had not only knowledge, understanding, but practice and getting things wrong until they get things right most of the time. And so all of that comes into the fore. All of that comes together. So when you enter a new profession, is the profession mature? Are there databases that you can learn from? Are there people you can learn from? Are you mentored? Are you tutored? In the case of medical doctors, well, there's the vast wealth of medical knowledge we've studied, and we continually need to update ourselves because, well, medicine is, like most science, a shifting field. And while a lot of things hold true as they have for the longest period of time, like most of the principles and understandings of anatomy and physiology, they're the same. Well, with the exclusion of fascia showing up in the 1990s and that changing a few understandings, and then it turning out to be less of a big thing later than a lot of people are making it now. And some advances in neuroscience and neuroscience of pain and a few other things, some adaptations in surgery and other fields. Largely though, there's an established database. And then there's us continually updating ourselves, making sure we're not left behind. And there are compendiums for this, and we're enrolled or subscribed to these databases. And so it's like there's this old cartoon, geeky, I know, Transformers, if you might be aware of them. There's this guy Optimus Prime, who's basically the head leader, good robot, and he's got something similar to what we have in medicine. They call it the matrix of leadership. It's essentially a little cube-like thing that he has in his chest, and what it is the cumulative stored knowledge, understanding, wisdom, strategies, tactics, and capabilities of every single leader that came before him. It's the matrix of leadership, the matrix of all the primes, the sum total of everything that everyone knows. So in medicine, we're in touch with that. We're attuned to that. And for those of us worth our salt, we continually try to update ourselves. By example, there's a handbook of information for drugs. And at least every 6 months, I have to sit down and restudy the book, because there are new drugs, and there are new drugs that I have to know even if they're out of my subspecialty, just so I know what another patient's talking about, and so I know what another doctor's talking about, because that's the thing. Every doctor kind of, to a certain degree, for all of the basics across all of the fields, we kind of know what each other is doing. That enables a referral system. Like the left hand must know what the right hand's doing, and all of us kind of know to some extent what the others are doing. So, by example, in the provinces, a general practitioner takes care of everyone. A physician who trained even further in taking care of everyone, a family physician, well, it has a more intensive look at all of the subspecialties, and it's a layering of skills, and it's being in tune with what everybody else is doing. So it's never true that a doctor's advice is isolated medical opinion. And it isn't true that when you enter a training that the information is the only thing you need. You actually need to know, and you need the community, the association, and the richness of the interactions and the training and the seniors and the experience of everyone, and you roll that in together. So, to my point here, when you're choosing a new profession, you might as well choose one with an established background. And if you're entering a training with an organization, I'd wager it's really useful to know how long the organization has been around, and if you actually are being backed up. Meaning, you can get training to be like a therapist or a coach of some sort. That abounds left and right nowadays. Practitioners, therapists, coaches of all sorts, varied skill and capability level. But when you go out there, say for example, you learn from a book, that's all you have. You have only what you gain from one book, and you have that author's experience and understandings, to the extent and degree that you learn it and practice it. But your experience early on is very limited, so you're not worth much early on as a coach, a therapist, or a practitioner if that's all you have. Now, pretending you isolated yourself from society and you just worked on yourself and just became a fantastic coach, physician, medical practitioner of some sort. Well, not physicians, because we really have to be in touch with what's happening in the world of medicine. But let's say a practitioner of some sort, a therapist of some sort, a coach of some sort. If you spend enough time working on it, you'll have your own body of experience. Say you've seen clients for 30 years. You have 30 years of experience, and that'll serve you. As a newly minted therapist, practitioner, or coach of some sort, though, if the organization you link up with or learn from doesn't have a good history and doesn't really have a solid backing foundation for its members, like, all you got is yourself. And I'd invite you to consider that's not a very smart thing to do. Like, if you have a choice between two organizations, one's fairly new and one's really established. One has a piece of paper that says something nice, but, well, at the end of the day, it's not worth anything, or all it really is a bunch of people's signatures, and it kind of says you're something. Versus an organization or an association with a training history that literally, if you have problems, they'll back you up and say, no, that's a proper protocol, and they'll help you out. And you're connected to a referral system. That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. Because to go at it by yourself, on your own, with just what you have as a new coach, practitioner, or therapist, that can get messy. You hardly know anything, and the less you've done things in a professional manner, the less clients or patients you've seen, the more horrible you are, no matter how great you think you are in your head. And if the organization you choose just dishes out a training and it's just information, or let's pretend you got a good training, but they're not really there for you, on a continuing basis, it's worth crap. It's nothing. It's worse than nothing, because you think you've got the backing of something good, but you've got nothing. That's worse. It's like going into a fight and thinking you've got a band of brothers behind you, and you look back and there's nothing, and there are 100 enemies in front of you, and you're alone when you thought you had your entire clan behind you. That's horrid. That's horrible. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's messy. It gets even messier when you need to take care of other people, and their life and sanity and health is in your hands. I'd really suggest you not do that. So, let's bring this full circle. You've listened to me ramble about essentially who's got your back. And if the only person who's got your back is you, that's kind of a horrible place to be, even for me. So, as a medical professional, by example, if it's beyond my scope, if it's not my expertise, I refer out to whoever I can find or think of or understand or research is the best colleague to work on that particular thing. So you develop friends in all these subspecialties that you're not good at or you're not the best at. Somebody can better take care of your patients. It behooves you to refer them out. For you to attempt to take care of a person when somebody else can better take care of that person, it's not a nice thing to do. And, okay, me as a hypnotherapist, it helps that I have other hypnotherapists to refer to. If it's beyond my scope or beyond, if it's outside my scope of capability or interests, I'd rather refer out. If I don't have the time or the bandwidth, the mental bandwidth or the emotional bandwidth to properly take care of someone, I've got to be able to have not only a system but a protocol and a group of people whom I trust, specialists I can trust, whom I can refer to. Now, I'm an unusual case because not every physician is a hypnotherapist and a coach and a practitioner of various forms of therapy. let's take this in reverse. If you're, let's say you're a hypnotist and you don't have colleagues you can trust and refer to, and you don't have a medical doctor who you've partnered up with, how do you manage the things you can't properly take care of? You try to do it all yourself without the experience, the knowledge, the understanding. This reminds me of when glutathione, this injectable thing that ladies, especially in Asia, love getting plugged in because it improves the properties of skin, let's just say, or that's the selling notion. So they like this thing, glutathione, and there was a point in time when like salons offered glutathione injections, and what a doctor I know said really stuck with me, because it's true of what I do and it's true of the medical profession. It's costlier to see a doctor and have your glutathione injection with a doctor than it is to have a manicurist, somebody who does nails, do your intravenous glutathione injection for you. It's cheaper by a large scale to have some random stranger do your injection for you. But it's precisely because that's not what you're paying for. You're not even paying for the medical degree. What you're paying for is if it's something gets screwed up, if something gets effed up, if something goes wrong, the doctor can take care of that. The manicurist can't. And so how those kind of make sense, that it helps to know who's got your back. Yeah. Let me know what you think about this. Comment, share, and ask. Cheers.